There's a word called hiatus. Hiatus. Do you know the meaning of this word? Hiatus is something when there's a temporary break between the sequence of events. Hiatus word is used many times for the bands which have been performing regularly earlier, say Blink-182 for some time. They have been performing consistently, then they took the hiatus, and then again after a period of 4 years they start performing. So hiatus is the word, temporary break between the series of events. So that's what we call rightly about our daily reading exercise of the complete guide to fossils and fossils collection. Today we have again started the same procedure because learning has to be continuous and it should not be, the chain should not be broken at any cost. The name of chapter today is Directory of Fossils, and it's a very refreshing pick. So that's why I think there's a need to show it. Directory of Fossils. No single book-bound collection of fossil images could ever incorporate every group and individual kind of organisms that has left its record in the rocks. However, one can strive to create a soundly representative compilation of the common and recognizable forms, importantly from different times and places around the world, plus a few glimpses of the most rare and precious of all fossils. The following pages include many groups of organisms which are familiar to hordes of amateur fossil enthusiasts such as ferns, corals, marine mollusks, and echinoids, but which nevertheless retain their own beauty, fascination, and importance, especially in the context of local collection. There are no apologies for including a few tantalizing examples of momentous finds that would make any paleontologist gasp with awe and glow with a sense of achievement. The directory is organized into three major traditional groupings: plants, invertebrate, and vertebrate animals. Each grouping is generally subdivided into the conventional taxonomic assemblages, such as taking members of the phylum Mollusca as an example, the bivalves, gastropods, ammonites, and others. However, as noted earlier in this book, there are disagreements among experts about the extent of separation of certain groups, and the ways in which these groups are ranked are being continually altered and refined with the aid of scientific scrutiny and the logical framework provided by the system of cladistical taxonomy. How to use the directory? The information in the directory is easy to locate thanks to its logical and consistent framework. The featured specimens range from fossils of simple organisms to the more complex and evolutionary advanced and are grouped as plants, invertebrate animals, and vertebrate animals. The following pages provide easily discerned and digested information on many hundreds of fossil specimens through the use of photographs of the fossils themselves, often annotated to assist identification through drawings, and of course through the arrangement of the accompanying text. The name of each specimen is usually given at the level of genus by species group, that is above the rank of species and below the rank of family. Conventionally, the names of genera are italicized in the running text, but not always when standing alone, such as in headings. Occasionally, a full species is identified, which then has two Latin names, such as Homo neanderthalensis. Homo neanderthals were the earliest species of humans that have survived and no longer continue to exist. There have been many theories why they got extinct, and we're not going to discuss into that. If there is, I'll definitely read. The first name is the genus. This always begins with an uppercase letter. The second name is the species itself, and all letters here are lowercase. Description and terminology. The text attempts to describe each specimen in a straightforward way. However, some technical terms are included as important shorthand, especially for anatomical features used in identification. For a group of related organisms, these terms are usually explained in at least one of the specimen description, but not all, to avoid unnecessary repetition. If you cannot immediately find the meaning of a term, it is worth checking adjacent specimen and entries for explanation. There is an extensive glossary of terms near the end of the book. all of the individual specimen names in their common and scientific forms and key paleontologist terms are included in an extensive index. So there are many things which we are not going to read because it doesn't make sense to just read it all, because there is a nomenclature sort of thing which has been described next to it. So we'll wrap up the things here, and the first chapter which I read, this is probably a phase into which another chapter is entered, that was by the name of Directory of Fossils, and next is how to use the directory. So we'll meet again in the next reading section. That's all for today. Have a nice day. Bye. Take care.